like, what do I do? Like, you get rid of the things that you don't need anymore and you start to focus, and it's like, all right, you strategize, how do you grow? Mark and I get together, and now we're trying to figure out how we do things together. And then ironically, in this horrible market, we're talking, we're like, these short sales, like what's going on with short sales?
The way that happened, if you recall, so I was sitting in an office in his office doing virtually nothing, literally, just trying to get a real estate deal here or there. And my mom, the realtor, calls me up. She goes, I have this bizarre deal. And house in Deerfield. She's like, it's new construction basically, but it's not done. And the builder, he can't do anymore. He's out of money. And so the problem is he owes the bank like $900,000. I can't sell this thing for more than $7 million. There's no way I can possibly do this. And I said to her, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I said, well, I'm not doing anything. Literally,
work on
I have
it.
nothing to do.
Right.
So I was like, I wonder if we just went to the bank and said, hey, this is the most we can sell this for. He needs to get rid of this property. Will you take less money?
Wow. Are you guys telling me like Al Gore invented the internet, that you guys
We did not invent short sales, but this is how we fell into it. We didn't invent it. This is how we fell.
Wow.
I didn't know what I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
I just knew that I had.
You had some time to work on it,
talk
right?
to the bank about taking less money.
And so now litigation skills comes into effect, right? You're arguing for things.
Exactly. So I go to the bank and I start having this conversation, and then they start saying to me, well, what's it worth? And I had my mom do CMAs on it and all this stuff, and I'm like, well, here's everything, and here's all his invoices, what he's paid, this is what he's put into. I was just proving the value to the bank, basically. And then it went on for a couple months. It took a little while, but the buyer was incredibly patient. The seller was like, yeah, this is great. And then eventually the bank is like, okay, we'll take X dollars. And then they were like, oh, and what are all the fees? And then I realized, I'm like, oh, well, I've put so much time into this. I'm like, I'm not charging a $570 our flat standard fee.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, my fee is like $4,000 for all this month's work. They paid it. And so I got that. I was like,
Mike's sitting there going, whoa.
So I go to Mike, I closed it, and I said, you're not going to believe what I just made on this real estate transaction. All I did was, it took time. I negotiate. And Mike goes, I have this realtor who was just talking to me about a conference he went to in Maryland about these things called short sales.
Yeah.
And I go,
and I couldn't go. He scheduled the flight, and it was like the next day.
Yeah, and you couldn't go. And he goes, it's called short sales. And he was going on and on. I go, well, that sounds like what I just did. And then he goes to the realtor, he goes, give me your booklet from that conference. And him and I sat with this booklet, and we were like, and next thing you know,
we created our own.
We looked at each other and we said, we could be the short sale guys.
Yeah.
And
you remember.
Yes.
We went and did the talks. Yeah.